Welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast, where we talk all things travel and all things transformation, exploring the life-changing potential of solo travel, intentional travel, and location-independent working. Whether you're an aspiring digital nomad or simply wish to boost your confidence through epic travel experiences, I'm here to motivate and inspire you to go after all your wildest dreams. I'm Jessica Grace Coleman, author, certified travel coach, founder of the Travel Transformation Company, and your host for the Travel Transformation Podcast. Travel changed my life. Now let's change yours. You ready? Let's go. Welcome to the Travel Transformation Podcast, the podcast where we talk all things travel and all things transformation. I'm Jessica Grace Coleman and I'm your host. And today I'm talking to sustainable tourism consultant Samantha Smits. As a sustainable tourism consultant, Samantha guides tourism companies in enhancing their brand reputation, accessing the sustainable tourism market, and saving resources, thereby saving both time and money. By integrating sustainability into their operations and communicating this to their clients, Samantha's clients differentiate themselves within the industry, aligning with the growing demand for responsible travel experiences, and, of course, contribute to a future-proof tourism industry and business. In this episode, we discuss all kinds of things, from how to travel more sustainably and how to be more eco-friendly when we're at home, her love of Tanzania, our mutual love of dogs and the stray dogs we meet abroad, the concept of revenge travel, and so much more. So let's get straight to the interview. Hi, Samantha. Thank you for coming on the podcast. How are you doing today?
Hi, Jessica. I'm good. Thank you for allowing me to be here.
No problem. I'm glad we could get this organized. Okay, so for our listeners, let's dive straight in. Can you introduce yourself, just a little bit about who you are, where you're from, and what you do?
Yeah, sure. So I'm Samantha. I am 25. I am from the Netherlands, but at the moment I am in Tanzania. So that's interesting. And I call myself a sustainable tourism consultant.
Yeah, and I've got so many questions about this. So I mentioned this in the intro, but let's talk about sustainable tourism because some people might not actually know what that term means in the specific context that you work in. So can you tell me what the term means? What does it encompass? And why do we need to be aware of it?
So what it is and why we need to be aware of it. Sustainable tourism is, in my opinion, a way we should be doing tourism. So it's not a product or anything. Basically, the way the current mainstream tourism is being run, it's not durable, it's not sustainable. To be very, very blunt, if we continue the way we do now, we will have no destination in the future. Of course, the doom scenario doesn't attract everyone, but I think everyone would like to enjoy something as long as possible, right? And to be able that your children, your grandchildren, or even if you don't want children, your friends' children, I don't care, just any future persons, that they also are able to travel the way we do, and that those parks, those animals, and the cultures, that they are still there, they're still maintained, and they have a future, basically. They're not exploited or died out. So it will still be there. That is the very basic thing about sustainability, that you run tourism in a way that is basically beneficial for everyone, because usually it's just tailored for the tourist only. So that's also why I think we should care. Because, yeah, sure, it's amazing if it's all catered to your needs. But then, even for you, you will not be able to do it in the future because there will be nothing left to look at, to say it very shortly.
Yeah, so does this encompass things like carbon footprint, being eco-friendly, climate change? What specific kind of things in terms of individuals traveling do you sort of talk about and help people with?
Yes. Like you mentioned, for example, carbon. I do think, though, that carbon is very, very technical, not easy to understand, and also very complicated. For example, this thing about planting trees, it's great, but if the richest companies who just plant trees, everything you do, you need more than one earth, for example. So there's a lot of nuances in this. But on individual level, it can be as simple as bringing your own water bottle instead of buying the plastic one over and over and over. It can be about doing your research before. And just knowing, okay, what's the local culture? What is appreciated so that this culture can then be maintained? And of course, every culture has the right to update. They should do as they wish. But by respecting their current cultural desires, needs, and traditions, you allow them to sustain them as well. And there are many, many small things, even thinking about what transport you take. Of course, when you travel far, you have to take the airplane. But then if your budget allows you to do so, try to do a straight one rather than having two transfers. And if you're on the location, if safely, try to take some public transport. Choose local, go to the local restaurant, go to a local accommodation rather than like the Hilton or something. When you choose local, the money will stay there. If you choose like a big brand, the money will go back to the CEO in the big Western country. So like this, there are many, many small things that you can just do. And it's kind of like the way you behave and like influence what the companies have to adjust to.
So you mentioned they're doing research before you go. So is that the stuff you just mentioned? Like what transport can I get that's more eco-friendly? What local places can I go to? Is there anything else we should be sort of looking at before we go?
Yeah, I would definitely, just like you research where you want to go to, when you decide where you want to go, decide, okay, where am I actually going to? What is the culture here? What animals are here? How should I, for example, my example in Tanzania, here you usually get more respected if you cover your shoulders and your knees. And again, it's not like you get in trouble when you don't, but you just see the difference how they treat you. For example, I will be charged 10 times more when I will have not have anything covered, and I will be treated way, way more respect when I cover up. And I know it's not only Tanzania. I believe I had the same in Thailand even, which is very touristic, but when I got more rural. So that is like doing your research that you know such kind of things that you know, okay, they respect it when you do something small like this. And usually when you do your research, you can also find out a scam, for example. So that doesn't even have to be sustainable, but it can also be about. So it's good also for your pocket to do your research so that you do not get into scams and to just show what mistakes to avoid and to see the experience of other people.
Yeah, I like that. The respect, I think that is a big word, isn't it? When we're talking about this kind of stuff, it's respect for the land, respect for the country, respect for the culture, respect for the people. And like you say, all kinds of places in Southeast Asia in particular, I've had it with them. You know, if you go to a temple, things like that, you're expected to like cover up because it's respectful. And it's just knowing stuff like that, like you say. So we talked a bit about individuals there, but I know you collaborate with tour operators and tour and travel agencies to integrate sustainable practices into their operations. So I'm interested in this. How does this work and what kind of thing do you consult on in this case?
So the thing is why I see the value in consulting tour operators, travel agencies, or tourism business in particular. They have way more influence over many individuals at once, because I think this is the general issue with or climate change or sustainability, or even, for example, asking people to go vegan or whatever. It is always very much focused on you have to do this, you have to start as an individual. And if someone does that, it's great. But of course, it's way more effectful if a group or a company does this because they have way more influence. So if you target a tour operator or a travel agency and you get it from within their tour operations and their offers, then basically the whole way they run, the whole way they manage will be sustainable, which automatically also will be when they receive the clients, because then they will have a code of conduct, they will have their transport in order. And usually you just think about what you offer, but then it kind of feels like hypocritical if on the front all looks good, but on the back it doesn't. So that's why I tackle both operations and offers, so the front and the back.
That's great. And obviously this is a podcast all about travel, but you mentioned there, you know, like water bottles, things like that. That's what we can do that every day wherever we are, like when we're at home. So are there other things that we can do just on a daily basis, like, you know, shop for secondhand clothes or, you know, like other things like that that we can do, which it doesn't have to be reliant on us traveling. We can just work it into our everyday lives?
I would say supporting the small businesses. Because in tourism context, you will say support the local businesses because they tend to be small and the big companies tend to be like the big brands that are global. But if you're talking about your own village, your own city, the place you were born or wherever, I think almost everywhere you'll have some kind of big brand where you just know the money is going to go to someone chilling somewhere, basically. And if you find like, even with clothes, if you find like a local boutique, which is like very for that place only, you know that the money is going to stay where you live.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the same with restaurants. Like, of course, you can go to some big chain where you know what it's like, but it's also way more fun to explore something small and sometimes even friendlier for your money. Whilst at
Yeah.
the same time, having the money stay in the destination.
Yeah, exactly. And a great way of doing that is asking the locals where they eat. If you're not sure, like say, do you know any family run
Yeah,
businesses? Do you have any friends who have like restaurant shops or anything that I can
yes,
visit?
exactly. Like in
Perfect.
your daily life, you can indeed like ask a friend or your family, like, oh, I feel like going out for dinner soon, but I want to explore something new. What is something you like?
Mm.
And then it also it will be a conversation starter as well. So it can be something social too.
Perfect. Okay. I don't know if this sort of links in with sustainability when traveling, but I know you're a big dog lover, and I am too.
Yes.
Like obsessed with dogs. I get so distracted whenever I
Yeah.
see one on the street or anything like that. But
Yep.
I've personally, when I've been traveling lots of places, you do go to countries where there are just, stray dogs and stray animals everywhere, and you want to help them, but you don't know if you should or if you should just leave them to
Mm,
the locals. Like, do you have any like any experience with this, or is there a sort of thing we should be doing or shouldn't be doing? I know people who go and buy like big bags of dog food and leave them out for the strays, and like, but then some people just say, "Oh, the locals look after them; it's fine." Like what are your thoughts on this? I'm just intrigued.
oh, first of all, I really recognize that I think my obsession is on the same level. But
Excellent.
yeah, I think for me, the big difference was like when I went to Thailand or South Africa and Tanzania, where at home we've always had like two dogs who are like have their own spot on the couch, who can cuddle with you. They're just like furry brothers in the same home. And then as soon as I started traveling mostly intercontinental, then seeing they had to sleep outside of the house, they cannot come in, and that they eat what the people eat. So that I think first was kind of confusing, and I think even in Thailand, so I was at the host family for a bachelor thesis, and they had a small German Shepherd puppy, and I love Shepherds.
Mm.
And come on, it's a damn puppy. For me, by then, I was like, it is sad to leave him outside, so I just took him in, and that dog had a good time. But afterwards, it could have been kind of disrespectful of me because I'm not sure if this happened, but what I heard in other places, this dog will be used to that, to say straight, that white people are taking him in. And what if they're gonna host a family who's like afraid of dogs, and this dog is gonna be like,
Mm.
so maybe that's like a cultural thing, which back then I should have respected more, but there the dog obsession got high of me. And in general here, and I think in Tanzania, they also get sometimes close if you get out for dinner, they get close to the food. And then again, my dog obsession is like, okay, I know they're dirty, I shouldn't pet them. I'll just cuddle a little bit and then wash my hands.
Yeah.
And this is, of course, a personal dilemma because, first of all, you can get sick, you can get rabies, you can get everything. You really have to think about that. But it happens, I'm stupid enough to just accept the risk. But at the same time, just like I said with Thailand, I'm okay with that because I love dogs. But whenever I could ruin someone else's experience basically by doing that as well. But yeah, this is a personal dilemma I have all the time. And it really differs per place because this restaurant I go to, the owner is okay with it. They are, if I feel okay with the dog, they can do. But you also should take into account if the dog belongs to someone or if the cat belongs to someone. But I usually see the dogs. You really have to respect cultural traditions. So in my case, I would love to take them inside. But if this dog is being raised to stay outside, especially when they're still a puppy, I have to respect that it just eats rice there because hey, I'm just being there for like some short time. I'm not being there the entire life of the dog. So I don't have to raise it, even though it goes against
Yeah.
what I'm taught. And yeah, indeed, also many, many, many strays. And I would love to give them all the food. But then also they will get dependent on you. And
Mm-hmm.
what I know from the strays here in Tanzania, they usually, at home, you would never, at least in my home, you would never give your dog a bone. It could puncture the intestines and anything. But the dogs here, they can eat anything. I think their intestines are like a rocks themselves or something. So I think the animals adapt in general, not even dogs, not even strays. Any animal in the world, any tourism destination, they adapt to their destination. And when you, as a human, interfere with that, they become dependent or will change.
Mm.
So you really have to consider what you do on that. And it is a personal dilemma, especially with dogs for me.
Oh, same. Yeah. And it is that respect thing as well, isn't it? Like we said before, but also when you're obsessed with dogs, you want to pet them all. I was exactly the same, like going on a group tour around Southeast Asia, and our guide was like, I'd had like the rabies shot and stuff, but they were like, just don't, it's just better, just don't touch any of the strays because you never know. It's not worth it. You might get rabies. We're miles from any hospital. But then you have all these cute little puppies running up to you, like literally like huge, like numbers of puppies. And you're just like, I really, really want to pet. I
Yes.
really want to pet you.
Yeah.
First world problems, but yeah, I get that whenever I go places.
Very, very recognizable.
I'm glad we're on the same wavelength with that. Perfect. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about how travel can be transformative in general. And then how do you think it can be transformative through the lens of sustainability and making meaningful connections that can lead to like personal growth and positive impact on the world and all that good stuff?
So I think in general, sustainability is one of the things that makes an experience more meaningful. Because I think in general, like I said before, sustainability shouldn't be a product. But I think for a lot of people, it is very added value to know, okay, I am going here, I am doing this. Oh, wow, at the same time, I'm doing something good. I think for a lot of people, that is a very great additional value. And yeah, the way it can be transformative, I think just like regular travel, it can expand your horizon. Sometimes it's so stupidly simple. Just I don't say that like a small practice will change the world, but that a small practice can contribute to doing better. But even for me, I still learn stuff on the daily. Then it's like, oh really? This is better too, and it's so easy to just do it like this. And I think this is the whole concept of travel in general, that you should just step outside of your bubble. At least this is what I love about it the most. Of course, you see a new country, new destination, everything. But then for me, also the culture. Okay, so they value this right here. Oh, what is convenient about it? Why do they like doing the ways like they're doing? And so it's basically just expanding everything you know and not staying in the same place where you are. For me, it always feels like progress somehow. Even if you see stuff you don't like, you know now what you don't like. So you always come back more full, more extra. It sounds very philosophical at this point, but I think you know where I'm getting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. And seeing the way people live and the way they do certain everyday things that is completely different to you, it kind of makes you question, oh, why do I do it the way I do it? It's because it's just because of the country I grew up in, and is that any better than this way? Or should I maybe think about redoing, doing some things differently in my life? And you're just learning about different ways, learning that there are different ways to do things. Because I think if you stay in your own little bubble, like you say, you don't know what you don't know, and you don't even know that there are all these things out there that could be changing your daily life just if you even knew about them to implement them in the first place. So I love that about travel, just learning about how other people do things, reflecting on it, learning about ourselves, all that good stuff. And how about solo traveling? Have you done much solo traveling? And if so, how has that impacted you?
Yes. I think when I was younger, I started to traveling together with a friend of mine. But then it was basically very consumptive doing the city trips in Europe. And this is also where I realized, okay, I'm a bit over the short city tripping in Europe. I had this desire to go far. At this point, I was not really into sustainability yet, so I didn't care about flights and much stuff. And I kind of was revenge traveling because as a child, I didn't see much. I saw my neighboring countries, and now looking back on it, it was perfect. But as an end stage teenager, early adult, I had the urge to revenge travel like I did with ticking off all those European city trips. But my travel buddy had a case of homesickness, so she did not want to go far. She had the bad stereotypes about other continents. And I think in the beginning, I really, really tried to find people to travel with because I was scared as the white woman with the blonde hair and the blue eyes. And the only reason I was scared is because no one else in my family traveled and they were just all reinforcing stereotypes on me. It would be dangerous for me, blah, blah. So I think the first time I went outside of the continent and alone is because when I used this consumptive city tripping, it was like this agency called Surprise Me or something. And then it would be a surprise city trip, which you reveal at the airport. And they had this one offer that you could do a city trip in a city outside of Europe. And that one was already on my mind for so long, but no one wanted to join me. So then I was like, yeah, but if I want this so bad and I had the money at that time, and there is an organization arranging this for me, so I'm safe my first time. This was my whole argument to just make it valid. Why wouldn't I? And so I think at some point I just felt like, fuck it, I'm gonna do it. And this sent me to Cape Town, which was very funny because my whole family was like, she's going to Africa. Oh no. It was perfectly fine, but I think it was the perfect way to just break down everything at once. First intercontinental travel to Africa, Cape Town. A lot of people just laugh when they know, like, oh, Cape Town. But for people who never travel, like my family, they're like, she's going to Africa. Oh. But yeah, so I think that was my first far solo travel experience. And you go there with all these stereotypes in your mind. I had people telling me I would be raped. Like, I had bad stereotypes around me, and I just was eager to combat them. And indeed, they were like one of the nicest people I've met. I felt safe at all times. I just behaved the same way as I did at home, because women everywhere in the world should not always be alone at night, except if you know the road well. It doesn't care if it's Africa or the Netherlands. Even in the Netherlands, I cannot always do that. So I just behaved like I was home, but with respect to the people there. I had the best time. So I just, and sadly, because it was an organized trip, it was way too damn short. So that for me already craved more. And then it just helped me that for my studies, I could do my bachelor thesis in Thailand, and I just used it to go. Because for the bachelor thesis, it was the same. I felt stupid to write about the tribe in their name, but not interviewing them. So I was like, I have to ask them. And I just went. Every time I would just come up with an excuse to just go somewhere without needing someone else. Because I figured if I'm going to wait for other people forever, it will never happen. Mm-hmm. And it's the same with my bachelor thesis. I went to Malta. It was my first time out. I was always living with my parents until then. And I went straight out of the house into a new country. Never came back again. I came back to the Netherlands, but never back in the house fully. Only for transition periods. So I think I always just had this way of, if no one wants to come with me, why should I just stop myself from doing it? And if over and over you prove yourself, okay, this is amazing, it gets addictive. I think at this point, okay, I have a boyfriend now, so I would like to take him places, but like regarding friends, yeah, if they have the same stuff that I want to do, they're welcome. But at this point, I think I'm not open to compromise on anything if they don't want to travel like I do, because I'm so used to travel in my way with my desires. Mm-hmm. So it's also kind of like, I'm not sure if I can ever go back to travel with friends again if they do not want to do what I want to.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? You get so used to doing things on your own, being able to go where you want, when you want, do what you want, have a nap if you want. There's no arguing about where should we go, where should we eat. And I love traveling with friends, but you're right. If they're, the friends that you can travel with them without it being a big drama. So if you've got those, that's great. But if you're traveling with people that you don't have, aligned values with, you want to do different things, it can take so much time out of your trip, just like arguing about where to go and stuff, that it's just so much easier to go on your own. So I totally get that. And I love that your first solo travel trip was to Cape Town. I went there for the first time start of last year. One of my friends is from there. And I had the same. I had so many people, as soon as they heard I was going there, telling me all these horrific stories about when they went. Oh, I was in the street and the building blew up and, the terrorists. And I was like, when was this? And they were like, like 30 years ago. I was like, okay, well, thanks for trying to freak me out about stuff that happened 30 years ago.
Bombs even happened in my country 2 years ago. So
yeah, exactly. And sure, there were times when I felt a little uncomfortable, but I felt way more uncomfortable walking around London or Birmingham, at certain points. And there are certain places in South Africa where I felt totally safe, whereas I know places in England that I've not felt safe at all. So you can't, go in with that lens thinking this is an unsafe place, this is a safe place. And, you just have to kind of block out all the stories and fears that other people are projecting onto you.
Since the start of the pandemic, many people have been reconsidering the ways in which they have fun. After a horribly isolating couple of years, we're now craving connection, community, and real deep conversation. We don't want to do the same old stuff every time we meet up with friends. We want something new, something different, something more. Enter the Flip the Script Party Packs. These digital party packs will help you flip the script on your usual parties and flip the script on your lives. Yes, this is self-development, but not as you know it. When you buy a Flip the Script party pack, you'll get taken to a super secret page on our online portal where you'll be guided through your very own Flip the Script party with videos, fun worksheets, and printables to help you throw the best Flip the Script party ever. There's a party pack for everyone and every situation. Mindset makeover, business bestie, life goals and legacy, birthday boost, hen do hootenanny, and team building takeover, all designed to help you have a great time in a fun, collaborative setting. They're also perfect for when you're meeting people on the road and you want to get to know your new travel buddies. Small talk's dead. It's time to get deep with a Flip the Script party. Just head to traveltransformationcoach.com/party to purchase, or get all 6 party packs free when you sign up to the Flip the Script Digital Nomad Academy at traveltransformationcoach.com/academy. And now let's get back to the Travel Transformation Podcast.
Yes, that's the worst thing.
Yeah.
People project their fears onto you, but they will never go anyway. And they're trying to make you not go. Well, you'll be fine.
Yeah, exactly. So you just got to go anyway. See for yourself. Make your own mind up, as with anything in life. But that's really cool. Now, I know you're in Tanzania now, and you said that is one of your favorite places you've ever traveled to. So I've not been there. So can you tell me why this place is so special to you?
Oh, the people, the culture, the nature, the food. The thing is, the first time I came here was for my master thesis. And like I said, I did my bachelor thesis in Malta. Back then I was 19. Even then, I already had this feeling I wanted to go to Africa and stay there for 5 months. But like I said, no, you will be raped, blah, blah, blah. Those terrible, terrible fears of everyone else. And by then even my ex, they were all prohibiting me to go because of their fears, not of mine. And I was stupid enough to give in to it. And still, I had the best time in Malta as well. Very happy I went, but because of other people, I didn't go. So I was so glad when for my master, I got the chance again to go for 5 months. And then I was like, okay, now back then I was single. No one's going to stop me now. Back then I was already a few years older. I think I was 23. Yeah, 23. So then it was like, okay, now I'm really going to go. I've been wanting to do this for years. And then because of all the fears, you just research, okay, what countries in Africa are safe?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's how you start. So I think countries like Kenya, Tanzania came up, and I happened to know the sister of a very, very good friend of mine, who like by now 8 years ago went to Tanzania, but for a totally different study. So I just asked her, where did you stay? Because I knew that would reassure my parents, I'm staying where she stayed.
Mm.
That really, really helped. And then I just emailed those people, this is what I'm studying. Do you cooperate with something that's good? And then like this, I rolled into an internship. So that worked. And just when I arrived there, I noticed, of course, like in the beginning, it's very touristic that people just try to help you for money. But when you stay somewhere for longer and you go to the less touristic places, people are very, very, very helpful here. They will just give you a ride anywhere. They will, even if they are in poor position than you are, they will just give you a bit of fruit. They will give you a bit of stuff. And also something which I still battle with, but enjoy as well. The culture is much slower here. At home, I get so stressed, so rushed. It's crazy. And here they are like, if not today, then we do it tomorrow. And it can be very, but very good at the same time. So I'm really trying to embrace that because it really slows me down. And I'm just like, if they're okay with tomorrow, so should I be. I can enjoy life way, way, way more. They're also very spontaneous here by just joining together or going for a drink somewhere. And what I say, food has taste. I come from the Dutch Netherlands cuisine, which is I think you're from the UK. I think we can almost compare. Only you have a proper English breakfast and we have sandwiches. But I think like most of stuff we have has no taste, is bland. I say we have very good snacks. I'm proud of our snacks. But cuisine, I don't argue that we have a proper cuisine.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, I love some of the basic Dutch meals, but then here it's just like, is this a spice? What is it? You almost don't know what spices are. So, I think like happy food is good mood. So I've always just been in a good mood because of the good food. People can cook really good. They're just super friendly. Everyone will say hi on the street, especially as soon as you learn the language a little. You can just have small talk with everyone, whatever it's something you're up to. So yeah, people are super friendly, welcoming. You can come into anyone's house, which is crazy because in the beginning I was scared to be kidnapped or something. Again, all the people's fears.
Mm-hmm.
But then they will just sit you down and give you a damn mango. And the children want to play with you or something. It's like, wow, why do we have such a bad stereotype about this place? Sure, there will be some places, but that's at home too. There is nothing that characterizes this. So yeah, I just feel like very warm, very hospitable, good food, and they know how to have a fun time too. So it's not like I'm missing anything of the fun stuff at home too. It's just, they also embrace simplicity more. Because I always argue when people think about Africa, you're living in the hut. No, people have houses here too. You also have rich people here. Rich and poor people are everywhere, not just to a continent, you know? And yeah, I could just talk about forever. It's so interesting. And every day I just keep learning stuff. You can just walk somewhere. I love that there's a mountain. Netherlands is flat as a pancake. I can see something in the horizon here. So yeah, I love that so much.
That sounds beautiful. So are you visiting there at the moment? Are you living there? Are you slow traveling? Like, how do you just...
I'm at the moment staying here with my boyfriend. I have a boyfriend here.
Nice. That helps.
It does.
So can you only stay there for so long on like a visa, or do you keep coming back? Is this a place you will always come back to, do you think, like no matter what?
Yeah, I'll definitely keep coming back to this place. I just have to sort out about... I mean, I'm still young, so I don't have to resettle, but at some point you have to make decisions, I think. But at the moment, with like a tourist visa, you can always stay for 90 days. And I also still have the desire to go home to the Netherlands too. For example, now in April, I'm not sure when this will launch, but we're talking in March now. So in April, I will go back to the Netherlands for like 2 months to see my family again. I'm also bringing the boyfriend, letting him see my country. And all of that will also then be so interesting to see that too. But then after that, I'm also happy to go back here again. But then you keep a bit playing with visas and stuff. So it's kind of, especially since I'm self-employed, working online, or sole proprietorship, or how you pronounce. So that's not always okay with visas and blah, blah, but then it's online. There's a lot of gray areas in there, but I think that's usually in travel. But it also gives a good excuse to just hop to one of the border countries, stay there for a bit, and then come back.
Yeah,
it makes you very flexible, just like the culture.
Yeah, nice. Okay, so you have actually, before I talk about your website, I just wanted to ask, so you're a visitor in Tanzania now. Can you give some examples of how you practice sustainability in that country? I'm assuming you're, shopping at local places and going to local restaurants and things like that. Is there anything else that comes to mind since you've been there?
I've always a water bottle. Oh, it blurs, but yeah, I have a water bottle. In the place I'm staying with my boyfriend, we buy water in bulk. Because here you have to buy water, you can drink the tap water. So I rather buy one big tank of water and then keep filling the bowls with that than just keep buying a small bottle every time. We do groceries at the local market, which means fresh fruit, fresh vegetables, local culture respecting, because I have to learn the language to talk to them. And all that's so interesting. And in general, I try to walk places. I think there's some interesting setup here that not every day you have electricity. And it's not even like the regular power cuts. They also schedule them. So I can know, okay, this Friday I have to go work in town because I will not have electricity. But then I think it's only a 20-minute walk. But for example, at home, when you're Dutch, you would grab the bicycle, for example, or you have enough people who take the damn car. So I think here it's also very easy to just walk everywhere. And so it's kind of interesting to see how you will behave even different compared to home. Because I was thinking about, can I have the bicycle here? No, it will get stolen. Oh, okay. Then I'll just walk places. Because I could have a tuk-tuk, or you have like those golf carts, tuk-tuks, you have them in Asia too. Or you have like the motor taxis. I could take them everywhere, but I sometimes prefer to walk. And then you can see the nice view, you can talk to people, it's healthy, because otherwise I just sit inside all day working. So I guess the main things is like indeed shop locally, use my feet as often as possible. And everywhere, like a lot of those people do, always bring my water bottle.
Yeah, it's just the little things, like you say, isn't it, that mount up to big things if everyone was to do them. So that's perfect.
Yeah.
Like everyone can do something like take their own water bottle places. Okay, so you have a website, which we'll link to in the show notes. So can you tell my listeners what it is and what services and products you offer if people are interested?
Yes. So yeah, on my website to talk about who I am, what I do. I recently also share the products on there, but I think you'll get to that later, so I'll save that for now. So regarding my services, in general, it's very, very specifically tailored, but I had to bring some kind of structure to it, of course. So I have for the people who just still want to explore, figure something out. In general, I always start with a discovery call of just 15 minutes, and then I'll know if we can continue or not. And then if we're good, of course, I'll continue follow up or something. Regarding the paid services, I have a quick win, which the first quick win of 30 minutes is complimentary. So then I guarantee you come with one problem only to that meeting, and you'll walk away with a clear step or a clear quick win to be sure you'll win in it. And then if you want more, then you can book them for a fee of €99, I say, because I talk in euro, but can convert to dollar, pound, whatever. And those you can book as many times as you like, because you have people who don't want to commit for a long time, but then every once in a while feel like, oh, I need a win. Hop on. So I want to provide that kind of flexibility. Then I have something with already more structure, which is some kind of 1 month for 4-week program. I call it a Thrive Track. And this is more organized to if you don't know really your goals yet, but you want to get some more sustainability, or you have a goal, but you don't know how to actually realize it. I have like calls with you. I have a Notion template where I can help you get your goals smart, action points. So then I hold you accountable. I give you feedback. And then just at the end of those 4 weeks, you have your stuff entirely worked out. No excuse to not be busy with it because everything is on digital paper.
Nice. I love Notion.
Yeah. I found out about Notion by the girl who was helping me with my Instagram. First was like, oh, help, how does this work? But then she also helped me with creating the template because I had the ideas. She was the Notion expert. And then it just came to life. I was like, oh, this is so valuable.
Nice.
So yeah, I like Notion too now, and slowly I'm getting efficient with it as well. So I think the quick win and the Thrive Track is organized structures I have. But it happens too often that people have like something very specific the destination can offer. If they know about sustainability or pressure, it is such a unique puzzle every time. So I think more often I also offer something tailored. Mm-hmm. And recently I had multiple calls about how to communicate your sustainable tourism efforts. That some companies found out, oh, it seems like already doing some good stuff, but then they were not talking about it at all. So how could the clients know they were doing some good work? And then they had no clue how to communicate it. So then I would just give them like a private webinar, maybe like an hour, paid of course, on how to do that. So it's always just like seeing, okay, they need this. What do I have in my personal toolkit? Oh, I could do this for you. Nice. And again, I'm almost doing this a year, so probably have to come with some long-term offers as well if you look for an entrepreneurship standpoint. But I'm still experimenting with this.
Nice. I'm intrigued by the quick win thing you mentioned. Can you give some examples of like the problems people come to you with that? Like what could that entail?
I think I would again go back to the plastic bottle. Mm-hmm. I believe I had like a company who was talking about we are trying to phase out plastic out of the company, but we don't know where to begin and we don't know any alternative. So, I mean, yes, we could get rid of it all, but what alternative is there really? And in the case of not only Tanzania, but there are multiple countries which are very bottle independent, plastic bottle independent. So then you do talk about be sure that in your office you have like something in bulk where they can just tap from. In the case of safari cars, have it there too, because then they can or bring their own water bottle, or in your case, marketing and merch, you can give them one.
Yeah.
And then at the end, you always have like, It was so stupidly easy, but we didn't come with it. And that's what I call a quick win.
Nice. I love that. Excellent. And I believe you've just launched a new workbook to complement your freebie. So can you tell me a bit about this and where people can get it?
Yes. So this is indeed the bit I talked about products, which I left up to you to introduce. So yeah, I mean, so far my earnings were mostly from paid services, but you also have people who rather read into something first, or in general do not really enjoy the people-to-people contact. And it's also fun for me to experiment with having different kinds of offerings and different things to do, see where my talent lies. So I did already have the freebie indeed, which is a checklist. And then in this checklist, it's of course not every, I cannot put the entire world in the checklist, but I would say it's almost all comprehensive.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just a free way for you to check, okay, what am I already doing? What could I still do? So usually I also send it to people I hop on a call with to make it easy for them to give me the idea what they're already doing, what they still have to do. And it's even clickable, so they can tick off, they can keep it for internal use. So that one really worked out, that people liked it. But of course, as it's no charge content, I just kept it at include sustainable dining.
Mm-hmm.
As brief as that. And of course, I gave like 30 tips, but brief.
Mm-hmm.
And people were asking, yeah, but how do I start to offer sustainable dining? Or how do I start to communicate this? And how do I start this research? And of course, then you have to be this annoying person who has to ask for money at that point. But I figured I could also do it in a low charge way by creating a workbook. So basically, the checklist is still in there. But this time, for all those 30 points that I mentioned in checklist, I now elaborate how you can actually start on them within a week. Because people like to take a quick win or a quick action. So then it's like, okay, if you were to start on this week, like I'm not forcing you to do it now, would be good. But like if you give yourself a week to do it, this you can already do, and then you're getting there.
Yeah, perfect.
So then if you do that per 30 stuff, it's already double the pages. So that's why I made a workbook out of it, because I was looking at should it be called another ebook or another workbook. But I was asking some people around, and apparently I can be proven wrong. I'm also still experimenting. You can call something a workbook when you give them actionable steps to take. So that's what I'm including in there. And then I figured I'll see how this goes. And then I'll also launch this one. And I'm very excited about it because I can just see, whoa, it's suddenly double the pages. It has the steps. And so, yeah, might be biased, but I'm excited about it.
That's great. And that's on your website. And I'll put the link specifically to your products page in the show notes as well. And like you say, I think a lot of people want to change the way they're doing things, but they have no idea where to start. So just having a really simple checklist that they can just start with in the next week, like you say, and just get them thinking about, new things they could be doing is a great way to start if you have, no idea what to do next. So that's perfect. Okay, just before the last two quick questions, I wanted to mention something that you mentioned earlier, and I forgot to say it when you were talking about it, but you used the term revenge travel, revenge traveling. I have not heard this before. This sounds... I love this term. So it was because you didn't travel much growing up that when you could, you were just like, I'm going to travel everywhere. Is that the basic idea behind it?
Yes. The first thing when I heard about revenge travel was actually because of the pandemic, the corona crisis. I think there was a big trend of revenge travel that when people felt like they were contained because of the pandemic, that I think in the people who are into sustainable tourism, we had this utopian hope that people would reset themselves, but obviously people were just in it to compensate and make up for lost time. Mm-hmm. Partly fair, but we were just hoping that they would do it in a nice way. So I think that is where the original revenge travel originated from. But then as you always reflect on your life, and I think even mentioned in a former podcast, I just made the connection. Like, why did I, as this end teenager, early adolescent, have this strong desire to just tick off cities in Europe like they're candy in the candy store? Why did I have such a strong desire? And the only way I could link it is because as a child, I was staying in the Netherlands or went to Belgium or Germany or France, which in the end were all perfectly fine. But I apparently at a young age, I already was hungry to see more. When I, with high school, got the trip to London, it already felt like, oh. And nowadays you can just take the train. Back then, we had to take the car to the Eurotunnel that was such a trip. And now you can just take the train. How times have changed. But yeah, so I think that is why I now doped that the term revenge travel to the way I was behaving back then. But I think it originated from what people started doing after the pandemic.
Oh God, it's such a great term. And
I think so too.
I could totally relate with people wanting to revenge travel after being cooped up for so long, especially if your country had lots of lockdowns. So that makes complete sense to me. Okay, so I have two last quick questions. So as I said, I'll put all your links in the show notes, but just for people listening, where can people find and follow you online, like social media and stuff? And then lastly, is there anything else you want to mention or promote, or any last message you want to get across before we go?
Oh, okay. Two questions at once. Firstly, where I can be found part. I think I'm mostly active on LinkedIn and Instagram. Mm-hmm. On LinkedIn, I have my personal accounts. It's under Samantha Smits. But that one is also linked to the business account there. So anything I post on my personal LinkedIn account also goes to the business and vice versa. But you'll get a personal reply if you go to the personal one. Mm-hmm. So I think that is also the one where I've gained the most following recently. Then there I post at least twice a week. Interestingly, on Instagram, then I post 3 times a week, but it's a different platform, of course. So maybe things that are more visual. I also try to get some more personal stories in there. That one is under the business name, Smits Consultancy, but you will also see it written in the show notes. Mm-hmm. I've also challenged myself beginning this year to post once a week on Pinterest. Mm. I had no clue where I should start, but my business coach encouraged me to. She said there are many people lurking on Pinterest, mm-hmm. So I guess it is a tip to anyone in business. But the people lurking, they have to find content that other people made. Mm-hmm. So if you just, like me, simple, once we just put something up there, I can see that there are views. And I'm just like, okay, people are looking at it. So if you like to look and not to talk, I'm at Pinterest too. And my email, I think most places. Facebook, I should make Facebook alive. I am there, but at the moment it's just linked to the Instagram. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I'm experimenting with threads, but no clue how. You can tell me how to if you want to.
No idea either. And I also need to start at Pinterest. I've heard so many people talking about Pinterest recently and how it's, it's not just it isn't a social media site. It's a search engine. So we should be making use of that. And like you say, a lot of lurkers. I'm one of the lurkers. So yeah, should definitely look into that more. So is there anything else you want to mention before we go?
Yeah, since your listeners are probably more like travelers or like individuals related, like we discussed multiple times, and I even tell companies this, sustainability is not as scary or difficult or big as you think. And something that I was told even by my business coach is, if you just improve 1% today or even per week, it is so minimum, it is so small. But by the end of the year, the amount of change you have made is crazy. It's insane. And change can already start by doing your research. So if you Google today about how to do something better that you usually do, you've already done your 1%. Mm-hmm. So just be open and don't overcomplicate. It doesn't have to be. If you like to complicate things, you can always do so later.
Exactly. That's it. I love it. Just break it down into simple steps. Focus on small incremental changes because they add up over, like you say, the weeks, the years. Exactly.
And it'll be so much easier to keep up because if you do everything at once, you'll just get withdrawal symptoms from your old life.
Yeah, exactly. It's the same with like habit building and all that kind of stuff, isn't it? Like do it very small, step by step, build on them. And before you know it, you'll have seen massive changes. So that's really great. Okay, well, thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. It's been great talking to you and learning all about sustainability. And I encourage everyone to check out the links in the show notes as well. So thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to the Travel Transformation Podcast with me, Jessica Grace Coleman. If you enjoyed this episode, I would really appreciate it if you could please subscribe, rate and review, and spread the word, because it's my mission to help as many people as possible to flip the script on their lives and transform through travel. And remember, life is short, so let's make sure it's nothing short of amazing. Until next time, I'll catch you on the flip side.